Hello everyone, welcome to Botany channel for UPSC examination. In today's video, we are going to focus on the syllabus analysis of ICFRE recruitment of Scientist B in 2019. As you may have heard about this, that the 54 post of the Scientist B in the ICFRE is announced in the last month. I hope you have already applied for this post, and if you haven't yet, please apply as soon as possible because I think May 15th is the last date for the application of this post. Alright. So we are going to focus on the botany syllabus for the Scientist B and we are going to analyze in very detail. In and all 12 chapters in this syllabus, and we are going to analyze these chapters thoroughly so that we can have a clear-cut idea for how to prepare for this particular examination. Alright. So the very first chapter is an cryptograms. As you know, cryptograms in the botany considered as the lower plants, right? And we have to study these lower plants in this particular first chapter. That is the algae, fungi, bryophyte, and pteridophyte. All the four groups of the cryptograms has been given in this particular chapter, and we have to study the structure and reproduction from the evolutionary point of view, as well as the distribution of cryptograms in India and their economic potential. For each category, that is algae, fungi, bryophyte, and pteridophyte, you have to study their structure, reproduction from the evolutionary point of view, and then you have to study how they are distributed throughout the India, that is distribution of the algae throughout the India, then distribution of the fungi throughout the India, then distribution of bryophytes and pteridophytes throughout the India. Plus, you have to know their economic potential, that is the economic importance of algae, fungi, bryophyte, and pteridophyte. If you are already the subscriber of this channel, then you may have know about the economic importance of the algae, then bryophytes and pteridophytes already given in the video format, right? So all these videos are available on the Botany optional channel for UPSC examination. And if you want to cover this topic as quickly as possible, please check this video as soon as possible. The link for these videos is given in the description box. Alright. So in chapter 1, you have to study the cryptograms such as algae, fungi, bryophytes, and pteridophytes. Alright. Then in the second chapter, you have to study the gymnosperms. In these gymnosperms, as gymnosperms are the seed plants, and that is why they are considered as the phanerogams. In the gymnosperms, you have to study the concept of progymnosperm, then classification and distribution of gymnosperm, then silent features of cycadales, coniferales, nettles, their structure and reproduction, and then general count of cycadophilicales, bennetatales, and cordiatales. Alright. So this chapter typically belongs to the gymnosperm only, and you have to study in detail the gymnosperms and have to grasp the gymnosperm in every possible way, because this chapter nearly contains all about the gymnosperm. Out of the topics given in this particular chapter, the concept of progymnosperm is already explained in our video, so please check that video out in the description box. Alright, so the chapter 2 mainly belongs to the gymnosperms. The third chapter belongs to the angiosperms, and in the angiosperms we have to study the plant morphology. Now the term plant morphology extend to all the morphological characters the flowering plants can have. That is, the typical morphological characters of plants like leaves, stem, roots, etc. all are covered in the plant morphology. Not only this, you have to study the morphological characteristics of the flowers as well as the fruits of angiospermic plants. Alright. So in order to cover the plant morphology, you should detail study the external morphological characters of the angiospermic plants. Then you have to study the inflorescence in angiosperms, then their nomenclature, that is the ICBM, that is the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. You have to study this topic in very detail. And then comparative account of the various systems of angiospermic classification, including APG. Then you have to focus on the numerical taxonomy, chemotaxonomy, taxonomy in relation to anatomy, embryology, palynology, serology, and the molecular study of angiosperms. In independent topics like dendrology, herbarium, and botanical gardens are also given. So all these generalized topics you have to cover as well. Then you have to study the important angiospermic families like Macnoxylic, Rosaceae, Leguminaceae, Malvaceae, Stercoraceae, Bignoniaceae, Saponidaceae, Anacardiaceae, Combretaceae, Meritaceae, Asteraceae, Meliaceae, Sapotaceae, Apocynaceae, Acanthaceae, Lamiaceae, Liuraceae, Salicaceae, Euphorbiaceae, Diptocarpaceae, Verbinaceae, Rubiaceae, and Poaceae, which is also called as the Gramineae. I will like to suggest you, in order to study the angiospermic families, you should create a one booklet, and each one page should be given to the one angiospermic families, because all these angiospermic families relatively have the similar and the dissimilar characters. And if you have the comparative analysis of all these angiospermic families in one booklet, then it will be very easy and useful for you to understand all these angiospermic families. Because learning and understanding the angiospermic family is not an easy task. But still, you have to do it in order to understand the botany in a very sophisticated way. All right. So you have to study all these angiospermic families. All right. The nomenclature, that is the ICBM nomenclature video, is already uploaded on our Botany optional channel. Then the videos on chemotaxonomy, Palynology are also uploaded to the Botany optional channel. The link for these videos will be given in the description box of this channel so that you can easily check it out. All right. The fourth chapter we have here is about the anatomy and the embryology. In anatomy, you have to study the stomata and their types. As you know, there are stomata which are present in the plant, which are helpful in the gaseous exchange and plays a very important role in the processes like transpiration and photosynthesis. So you have to study the stomata plus their types. Then anomalous secondary growth. As you know, the various plant groups possess the secondary growth. You have to study the anomalies in this secondary growth. Then the anatomy of C3 and C4 plants. As you know, there are certain characteristic differences between the anatomy of C3 and C4 plants. One of them is a Cron's anatomy, which is explained on our channel as well. So, in addition to that, the chloroplast dimorphism also explains the differences in C3 and C4 plant anatomies. That video is also uploaded on the Botany optional channel. All right. Next is the development of male and female gametophyte, then pollination, fertilization, then endosperm and its development and function, patterns of embryo development, then polyembryony, then apomixis, then the application of palynology, and at last seed structure and its formation. So the fourth chapter, in which we have to study the anatomy and embryology, many topics of this chapter is already covered on our channel. One of them is the anatomy of C3 and C4 plants, then the development of male gametophyte and the development of female gametophyte and the pollination, then application of palynology, etc. are all uploaded on the Botany optional channel. Again, the link for these videos will be given in the description box so that you can directly check it out and cover this syllabus as soon as possible. All right. The fifth chapter covers the microbiology and the plant pathology. That is, we have to study the microbiology in relation to botany, and then the plant pathology, that is how microbes infect the plants. In this particular chapter, we are going to study the viruses, bacteria, and plasmid structures and reproduction. That is, you have to study the structure and reproduction of viruses, then bacteria, and the plasmids. After that, you have to study the phytoimmunology, then application of microbiology in agriculture, industry, medicine, and pollution control in air, soil, and water. Then we have to focus on important plant diseases caused by the viruses, bacteria, and mycoplasma. That is all the important diseases which are caused to the plants by the viruses, bacteria, and mycoplasma. We have to study nematodes. We have to study them in detail. Then you have to study the mode of infection and dissemination. Then molecular basis of infection and disease resistance or defense. Then the physiology of parasitism and control measures, fungal toxins, modeling, and disease forecasting. At last, you have to study the plant quarantine. This chapter, which literally covers the microbiology in relation to the botany, also contains the part of plant pathology, which is the disease-causing microbes to the plants. Out of this chapter, some topics are already covered on our channel, such as the application of microbiology in agriculture and industry. Both these videos are uploaded on our channel. The structure and function of the mycoplasma is also covered. So the next chapter is related with the plant utility and the exploitation. In this, you have to study the origin of cultivated plants, then Vavillio's centers of origin, that is the centers of origin which is given by the Vavillio, then plant as a sources of timber, food, fodder, gums, resins, dyes, fibers, spices, beverages, drugs, narcotics, and insecticides. Then you have to study the importance of ethnobotany and energy plantation. So this chapter uniquely covers the economic, botany, and many topics of this chapter as well are also covered in our channel, such as the plants as a sources of resins, then spices is already uploaded on our channel, and then the importance of ethnobotany is also covered in a special video. All right, so you should check those video as in order to complete the syllabus as soon as possible. All right, the next chapter we have here is a morphogenesis. In this, you have to study the totipotency, polarity, symmetry, and differentiation. Then cell, tissue, and organ and protoplast culture. Then somatic hybrids and the hybrids. So morphogenesis, this chapter is typically related with the plant tissue culture. Out of these topics, the protoplast culture is already covered on our channel, and rest videos will be uploaded in a subsequent time. Now, the next chapter we have here is of a cell biology. As you know, cell biology is a very basic to the life science and is very easy to learn. In this cell biology chapter, we have to study the techniques of cell biology, then the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. As you know, there are two types of cell, prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell, in which we have to study their structural as well as the ultrastructural details. Then the structure and function of extracellular matrix or ECM, then membrane cell adhesion, membrane vesicular transport, then structure and function of cell organelles, then nucleus, nucleolus, nuclear pore complex. Then we have to study the chromatin and the nucleosome, then DNA and RNA. That is this topic. That is this chapter is covering everything which is present in the cell. Then we have to study the cell signaling and the cell receptors. Then signal transduction, that is the G1 proteins. Then mitosis and the meiosis, and then molecular basis of cell cycle, numerical and structural variations in the chromosome and their significance. Study of polytene, Lambrusch, and the B chromosome structure, behavior, and their significance. So, as you can observe here, the cell biology unit has covered nearly all the cell, not only their structural and functional aspect, but all the processes which are occurring in the cell are also covered under this chapter. All right. The next chapter is related with the genetics, molecular biology, and the evolution. In this chapter, you have to study the development of genetics, then gene versus allele concept, that is the pseudo alleles, then quantitative genetics and the multiple factors, linkage and crossing over, methods of gene mapping, sex chromosome and the sex linked inheritance, then sex determination and the molecular basis of sex determination, mutation, biochemical and the molecular basis of mutation, then cytoplasmic inheritance and the cytoplasmic genes, prions and the prion hypothesis, then the structure and synthesis of nucleic acid and proteins, then the genetic code and the regulation of gene expression, and at last, we have to go through the multi-gene families, organic evolution evidences, and the mechanism, their mechanism and theories. All right. Now, the next chapter we have here is the plant breeding, then biotechnology and biostatistics. In this, you have to study the methods of plant breeding, that is, how plant breeding methods work. Then, the introduction for this, then selection, hybridization, that is pedigree, backcross, mass selection, and bulk method, male sterility, and heterosis, breeding, use of apomixis in plant breeding, then micropropagation and the genetic engineering methods of transfer of genes and the transgenic crops, development and the use of molecular markers in the plant breeding. Now, out of this, the heterosis is recently uploaded on our channel, so you should check it out, that video as well. Now, there are certain topics in this particular chapter which are very easy to understand, and you should cover them as soon as possible. That is, the topics like heterosis, then apomixis, transgenic crops are very easy topics, and you should cover them as soon as possible. The next chapter we have here is the physiology and biochemistry. In this, we have to study the water relations, mineral nutrition, ion transport, mineral deficiencies, photosynthesis, respiration, etc. Then the nitrogen fixation, enzymes, coenzymes, energy transfer, and energy conservation. Then the importance of secondary metabolites, then pigment as photoreceptors, then photoperiodism and flowering, then senescence, growth substance, their chemical nature, growth indices, growth moment. Then you have to study the stress physiology, then fruit and seed physiology, then the concept of dormancy, storage and germination of seed, and at last you have to study the fruit ripening. All right. So the physiology and biochemistry covers nearly all the life processes which are occurring in the plant cell, and we have to study not only the physiology but also the biochemistry of such a processes. All right. The last chapter we have in the syllabus is the ecology and the plant geography. In this, we have to study the ecological factors, then the concept and dynamics of community, then plant successions, concept of biosphere, ecosystems and their conservation, pollution and its control, phytogeographical and biogeographical regions of India, then protected areas, forest types of India, afforestation, deforestation, and the social forestry. Then we have to study the organizations like IUCN, CITES, IPCC, threatened species, endemism, then red data book, then convention of biological diversity, that is CBD, then sovereign rights and intellectual property rights, and at last we have to also focus on the global warming. So this is an syllabus for the ICFRE Scientist B post, and you can straight away conclude that this is a typical botany syllabus. So if you start the syllabus slowly and then pick up the pace of reading, then you can cover all the syllabus within the 2 months. It is expected that the examination for this particular post will held within these 2 months, and all the questions will be of objective types. So I request you to take the notes and read those notes in a very detail, so that you will not miss the simple objective questions which can make you the scientist B. All right. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please like the video. Please share this video with your friends who are appearing for this examination. And if you have any doubt about this lecture, please make comment in an comment box. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe to the Botany option channel for UPSC examination. Again, thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next one.